Today let's master a blurry background together. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I know I've promised you to go back to this particular painting and the different sessions involved with it so long ago, and I'm so sorry to not have delivered this anytime sooner, but as you might already know through my previous videos, I had some personal issues as well as commissions and projects that just pushed this one off my easel for quite a while. But we're there now, so we will be able to pick up the different tutorials exactly where we left them last time. For those of you who are new here and are maybe not aware, I have chosen this particular painting in order to demonstrate how to do it from the beginning up until the very end. So starting with an imprimatura and finishing with how to correctly finish a painting. I have chosen a photograph by Georgina to base this painting on. Of course, I will leave once again her website and her socials in the description box below. There is already a video about the imprimatura and the first layer of color already online, so these two videos will be linked both in the description box, and I will try to link them up here as well. And I believe that we have still a couple of sessions to get to the very end of it. Now our today's mission will be to paint the blurry background, so we will focus on the two mountains here on the left and on the right side. We have different levels of depth that we are dealing with, the mountain on the left being the furthest away and the mountain on the right side being a bit closer to the viewer. And I believe that this subject will help us dive into different problematics when it comes to landscape painting. First of all, the management of colors, because we all know that the furthest something is away, the more blue-toned it becomes. We also have some decisions to make regarding the level of details we want to have in both parts and also compared to the foreground that we're going to get. So we need to establish a nice balance. And then finally, and I believe that this is something several of you asked me in previous videos or in comments underneath different other videos, to how best manage the transition between different objects, so how to manage the outlines. Do you blur it? Do you leave it? Do you outline it? Do you leave it as it is? We will be able to tackle this problematic as well. And this is all we're going to do in our session today. So more will follow in my next videos. Stay tuned if you're interested in that. And lastly, I wanted to remind you that these tutorials linked to this particular painting will be done in real time, exactly as the two previous videos. These ones will be a little longer, so around 1 hour maybe, because I will take you gradually through every step that I make, through every brush stroke or paintings or colors that I will mix together. So you will be seeing how I work and I will be commenting on everything that I do. If you're not here for the in-depth tutorial, please feel free to mute me or pick up the pace through the magic of YouTube. You can do that and make it play quicker if you are just interested in seeing the result, or more quickly how I get there but without the commentary. So do as you wish with what I'm giving you, but I just wanted to give those of you who are maybe beginners or who are interested in seeing how I do things a deeper insight in how I work. And now, without further ado, let's get into it. Right, now I will insert the photograph that I use as a reference for this painting so that we can compare together and see what is yet left to do. Now we have definitely to brighten the sky quite a lot, but I will not start with this. I will rather start on the background and on the foreground, so that when everything is set, we can then go over the sky, because we have quite a few areas here and there that are missed and which is coming into the scene. and covering up bits of it. So it is really important that everything underneath the mist is already finished, and that the layer of mist really is the last layer. Now, do we have to do anything here? I feel like it would be a good idea to brighten it a little bit, because as a rule of thumb, everything that is in the foreground will always appear more contrasty and more dark than anything that is further away. And I do believe that once the paint has dried, this is maybe something that I've messed up so far, and we definitely need to re-establish the values and go quite a bit lighter in the background area. Those furthest away, I'm not so sure, we will see once we get there. Maybe we will not necessarily need to touch them up. Here on the right, we maybe need to go a little bit greener than we already did, and a bit lighter. Now, on the contrary, I nearly feel that the forest might get a bit darker, but I'm not so sure. It also might be that once we have touched the background, by comparison, it will appear the right degree of dark, let's say. And then we have the whole of this, which quite frankly is a mess. So we do need to get quite a lot of detail in here. And I'm not even sure that we're going to get to a level of detail that we need to have in one sitting. It might be necessary to do 2 sittings on this one. We will see how well we'll progress. We have to go into the tartan plate as well. Of course, everything needs to get much brighter and also much more detailed. The rest of the clothing I feel like is all right, but maybe go into some details here in the trim of the skirt. So just pick up a really fine brush and some white paint and do the outlines of the lace. And that is our program for today. I believe that we will start with the background and then move to the foreground. And now let's go. Right, so let's start with this left corner. Upon reflection, it should be much brighter, and it appears like a clear emerald green that is grayed up. To achieve this, I think I will mix olive green and some cool grey together with warm white. So let's see, do we need to go into the white? Maybe not that much, or not at all. Let's see. I'm picking up a small square brush because we do not have any details here in the forest, so I'm not going to need a really precise brush. Yes, I do think that we won't need any white. In the end, the trick with the grey really did it. I might leave like a small line here and there in order to make the transition with the hills. I do feel like in the photograph we have something that is a little bit darker in the outline, but I'm not sure. So this goes down now, and here and here. There we go. Okay, we bring it further down here as well. And once again, here at the bottom, we leave a little space because it appears darker and more blue maybe. So I think I will go over with another color here in order to make it more blue. And maybe this line was not that great of an idea. No, it looks weird. I'm getting rid of it. I'm actually getting rid of it. There you go. Okay, and we need to bring this further down here as well. Is there a delimitation between these two? Very small one. And it's very, very slim. Okay, and the same goes here. The bottom line of the forest is a bit darker. Not as bluish as the top part. So maybe this one we can leave as it is. I'll see how this goes. We have a little more in here. And just try to, you know, smudge the line in order for it to not be that precise, because of course the borderline is not something very precise. It's just the way that we perceive colors at a distance. There is no frank delimitation here. And here we need to go darker, so I will pick another color here. Can we do anything else? I think I might nearly glaze over in green with the rest of the color that is left on the brush. I will go over here because I see a smidgen of green here going over the hills. Okay, and here as well. Is this it? I feel like here is a little green as well, but we need to pick up another color that is more, that is warmer, and maybe brown ochre. Not changing the brush here, I'm sticking with one I have because a mix might even be very convenient. Yes, I do believe that this is the right color to do this. The brown ochre was a good guess. This is it. We can bring it over here a little bit. This will be much darker, so we won't touch it. But I think I will also go over with the brown ochre with this part here in the hills. I believe that this is rather more this color maybe. Okay, so we need quite a lot more blue here. Might be indigo, might be a little too dark. Yes, it is. I will mix it with a cool gray. I think we're getting there. Yes, okay. So indigo mixed in with cool gray. And we will need to smudge the border a bit more than that. Okay, I'll bring it down here. Okay, and not here. Do we have it anywhere else? Maybe a little bit here. Really in a small portion. Okay, I will go back into the green that we previously used. Mix it with the indigo gray and try to bring it as a kind of transitional color here between the two. Bring the indigo back a little bit more. Bring back the green a little bit more. You have to switch forth and back a little bit to find the sweet spot where this will be a bit more natural and appear a bit more natural than what we previously had. Okay, I think this is not bad. And now we need something much more olive greeny but darker, so I will pick up the olive green, which is the base color for the whole area, I will say, and then darken it with what? Yes, let's try glauconite. I like this color, it's very unusual, it's dark and rich. And I don't see many painters use it a lot. So, yes, this is the one. This is the one we should have gone for, yes. So glauconite did its job. It's such an underrated color. It's so useful. Such a great tone for landscapes. Okay. I'm trying to bring it to other parts of the area as well in order to create a nice transition and unity, because it was obviously the same forest, right? So it should appear as one unit here. Okay, can bring parts here and a bit here. All that is left for us to do now, we do have a little bit more green in here as well, like nearly individual trees here, like a line, and then they continue down this hill, and now they're becoming a bit browner than that, so we will take the last of my green umber. I have a little bit here in the transition and a little bit here. Yes, okay. Right, and now we have to clean up those spaces in between that we need to get much brighter. In order to do so, I think I will go into the warm grey. Might be too grey and not warm enough. I don't know. Let's see. No, it's good. It's actually not bad. It's not bad at all. We will go over this green that we just set here. Okay. There's our hill. Maybe I'm going over the top with this, I don't know. This might have been an error, but I will re-establish the greens afterwards. But we do need to brighten this a bit more, so I think smudging it out will do the trick and will be enough. I'll see. Now this hillside here and here, here and here. Okay, let's smudge it out with another brush. It's a doe foot that is quite bristly. Okay, what do we think of that? Did it do the trick? I'm not entirely sure yet. Okay, I'm going back in with my previous brush to re-establish the shadows a little bit. All right, green umber. Let's bring the browns back in. Okay, a little bit here. And also a little bit here. I feel like this is looking better already. We need to re-establish a cleaner line here, as well as here. But we do need to go a bit darker. So, smudge out this, I believe. Right, okay. And maybe here in the transition. As well as here. And this is looking better. Okay, maybe darken this bit a little further, and this should do it. Here and here. This still looks awkward. I don't know why. Maybe let's go back into our first green and see whether we can close this up a little bit, because I feel like this gap is not really there in the photograph and I'm unsure how I've created it, but we needed to close it. The same goes for this part here and there. Right, and here as well. This is not so much for contrast, okay. Okay, now we go back into the blues. Okay, and our glauconite here as well, that is a bit warmer. Right, and bring it back here. Okay, I feel like this is better now. Close this further. Okay. And maybe smudge this some further, because it's not that bright. It doesn't appear as bright as I've done it now. Okay, so something like this. And you see, this is maybe the most important thing to keep in mind concerning this phase of a painting. You really need to be precise and not stop halfway. You can't say, okay, it looks kind of like what I want it to look like, or it looks kind of like the reference photograph, because if you are sloppy at this stage, this will absolutely ruin the overall impression of your painting. And it's the details that will count and make it look more or less believable, you know. So now, unfortunately, at this stage, you have to keep pushing until you get it exactly right. So here, for instance, on this hillside, you have parts that are a little brighter and a little bit more yellow, I believe. So just a smidgen, nothing crazy, and yet they appear a bit brighter. So we need to replicate this in our painting. So I'm mixing warm grey in with lemon yellow, because I feel like this part is quite a bit warmer And I also have to smudge out the edges, you see, because this didn't look natural at all. So we need to make this right. Go in with a little bit of white as well, warm white, to brighten up this part, because it is brighter here and here and here. The same must be done in here. I feel like the whole shape of it is not quite right. It's a bit strange. Okay, now I clean the dough foot brush. I go back into the green and smudge it out again, go over it, in order to blur the line, because it's not as established as it is now. Okay. I'm not afraid to go into the warm grey area because I need to paint over it in order to blur. Then back into the glauconite, because there's a row of trees in there that are closing in. Okay. Okay. We go back into our indigo and try to blur this line as well. I'm not liking how defined it is right now. This is better. And we're moving over to the trees. I will grab a finer brush here because this is going to be about details and details only. This is what will do the difference. We have a reddish brown for the lightest trees, those who are the driest, I believe. We will maybe try to mix Indian yellow hue, Sennelier transparent brown. This looks right. Okay, now we definitely have one tree going over here a little bit. We have this brighter hue here, a little bit here, the corner. Okay. Mostly here. Okay. Here. And here. And it continues a little bit through here. Okay. Now we're going the exact opposite way. We're going a tone darker and we're going for a browner shade. Where do we have it? We would have it here. And this would continue into here. Here. A little here. Here in the middle. Here. And then here and here. Okay. Moving over to the darkest part of the trees, that is nearly black, so green black. We will take chromium green deep with black. I think will do the trick. Now once again we have to smudge things a little bit, so we'll mix things together a little more so that we have a more cohesive and uniform unit here, because this section is so far away that the eye would not perceive the different parts that distinctly. So this has to be blurred quite a lot more than it actually is now. Okay, something like this is looking good. Maybe something in between, maybe the Tonality transparent brown. Mix it in with a bit of black to have this transitional color, and go over some areas between the black green and the brighter brown color. Maybe something like this. That looks a bit better. We need to bring some of the highlights back. Some movement here. 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 I think I will now have to wait that for it to dry down in order to redo the hue correctly, unfortunately, because it made for an emerald green here, which is not unsurprising given the hues that I've mixed together. I just thought that it wouldn't somehow. Okay. Okay, smudging it out, smudging it out. Okay. All right, we are done with the left half of the background, I believe. This looks funny. Why does it look funny? I'll go over this particular shape. Yeah, better. And this needs to go more gradually. So now at the top trees, smudge it out again. And there we go. Okay, now moving on to the right part of the painting. The good thing is that we will be able to reuse most of the colors that we used on the left side on the right, because logically it is the same vegetation that we have, it is the same area. So it is only logical that the forest that we have on both hills would appear in the same color on the right and on the left, given that the weather conditions are the same. Of course, this is a bit nearer to the viewer, so I would say that on the whole the right hill might appear a bit more defined and a bit darker. So we do not need to do an awful lot of work here, but we do need to shift the colors a little bit. I feel like on the whole the right hill is a bit greener than what it appears now. I also think that it is the burnt umber from the imprimatura that is still shining through a little bit, so we have this warmer, richer, brownisher undertone on the whole, and we need it to get greener than it actually is right now. So let's go in with our initial green that we mixed in with a cool grey to give it a cooler undertone and to get it more muted. And then go in a little bit with the glauconite in order to darken it down. So we're going in with this green here. I won't shy away from going over the white one, because we are going to go in to redo the mist later on, so it's not bad. It's not a bad thing if this appears too dark, because we will brighten it up later on. Right. Okay, and this we shall drag down into here, and maybe it's not worth doing more than that because we will have to go over something darker than this. Now, where do we have other bits of green? I believe maybe a little bit here. And in the shadows here as well. Maybe here. Although it is less blue, so maybe we should stop with this color at that point. Now we go back in with some gluconite and maybe just a hint of black. We don't need an awful lot of it. And go here. In these areas. We're going slightly over the green from before in order to smudge out the transitions. Remember, there's no real visible transition between those two, and this becomes gradually the top of the hill here. Right, and we can go into a bit of here, here. There is a lot of it in a in a slightly transparent form on the ground. I will lay it down first, and then we will go over, and then we will go over with some brown ochre, I believe, later on, so this will fade into the mountain a bit better afterwards. But I always start with the darker tone, so I will start out with the gluconite first before going into the brown ochre. Okay, right. I have a little bit of this here. Okay, I believe it will be wiser to work on this later on, or we can wait. I can try to glaze over maybe the brown areas. That would do the trick as well, but I believe that we need to go maybe a bit. I'd like to have a bit more coverage than that. Okay, now let's smudge out the edges between those two types of green. Okay, to blur the edge further. And now let's get into brown ochre. Let's see what we can do with this. You see, I needed to pick up a color that is a little bit more green than it is warmish brown or yellow reminiscent. I don't know how to make myself clear here. Once again, for now, to establish the right tone, I'm not worrying about it going over some other darker areas. I needed to become something of a more uniform undertone, and then I will redefine the different areas as needed. But for now I have to darken it down and make it more green, so I'm basically pretty much glazing Okay, over this whole area, more or less, right? Same here. Okay. Now we have our background set, and we can now go into details in order to make this even more realistic. Let's work from the extremes. So I will accentuate the shadows, the darkest shadows first. So I will go back into the indigo, because I believe that the darkest shadows here have a bluish undertone. For instance, here we have a little bit of this going on, right? Okay. Where else? A little bit of a head here. And I see that I have left too much space here above her head compared to the reference photo, but I mean, if you haven't seen the photograph, you wouldn't, it's not looking awkward, so I'm not bothering and going over it again. Now I'm leaving it as it is. Now we have some blue in the darkest shadows here. Here. Okay. And here. This is where we need to correct and take this down a notch. And then we have a little bit of it there. Here. And in here. And here we have to be mindful because it is pretty dominant here. It's nearly purple though, so we need to add some redder undertone as well later on. Okay, wait. Okay. Here. And there. Maybe this is already too dark. And there are some kind of streaks here. And here we have only a dark outline going like this and here. And I believe that this is it. Okay, now on the contrary, we take another brush, maybe a finer one. Yes, let's go for this one. It's a very fine round brush. And I will go into warm grey mixed in with Indian yellow hue to warm it up a little bit. Right. There's a streak going up like so. And so. Okay. Then we have something rather bright here as well. It's a bit exaggerated, but we will be fanning it out afterwards. Okay. Here. 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 So this won't appear as bright. once we will have smudged everything out. Okay, and it is going around this bit as well. Okay, we have some bits here and there that are pretty bright. Okay. This is more green, and we have another very bright streak here. Okay, here, and then here. It's trading off here a little bit. Here, maybe not so much. Oh, my mistake. And here, here, and at the bottom bit as well. Okay, now we will take our trusty doe foot brush to smudge things up. We're decreasing the effect of these areas being too bright by smudging them in quite a bit. Where are we? Okay. Okay. Now, in order to make it less streak-like and really much more blurred and more sfumato, I am going up and down and not diagonally and in the sense of my brush strokes, but I'm going against the sense of the brush stroke to really smudge everything out even more. And really blur the lines between everything in between. If we need to redarken some areas afterwards, we can still do it. This is not a reason to panic if we feel like this is becoming too bright. Okay, this is not to worry. Just need to have this rain-like impression, you know, when the rain is falling down so heavily that everything kind of looks like a watercolor landscape. This is what we have here, and this is the effect we're going for. Okay, now we can reassess those middle values, I believe, because we came from the darkest ones that have a blue undertone, and then we went over to the brightest highlights that are fairly warm, and now we're going in the tonal values in between, and I believe this green umber that is going to be our most valuable ally in this matter. I need it to be even more bluish. Okay, so I take a little bit of indigo and I take my green umber, I mix them together. I think I'm not upon consideration taking the doe foot brush, but the middle round brush. Yes, better. Okay. And there we go. There we can transition into those middle areas. Okay. I'm just connecting the different areas here, okay? In between the darkest blues and our highlights here. We will need to go a bit warmer than this and go back into the brown ochre, especially at the bottom bit, because this is fairly more olive toned and warm here in the grasses. Right here as well, this adjacent bit. And we have it also kind of a little bit in between here and some bits here and there, here. And right, we go back into the highlights because I feel like in the process of smudging we've lost them a little bit, so we bring a tiny little bit back where it's brightest. So here and here. here. I'm not sure we can do much more than this. Maybe I've spoken about bringing in some reddish undertones in here into the shadows because they were appearing quite purple, so in between the blue and the brown. So I'm gonna grab my Sennelier transparent brown. Is it gonna be dark enough? This is, yeah, it's okay. And I'm filling in those spaces in between the blue. Now I need to go darker and redder than that. I will add to this some burnt sienna and black. Still looking for those streaks of brown. We can find it in the shadows, a bit around here. I feel like the end line of the forest where it really drops off into the hill is quite brown as well. Like so. We need to darken that bit of the forest later on as well. Throws me off that I messed up the proportions here. Really does. Never mind. I'm mixing it, the rest of the brown that I have on the brush, in with my brown ochre, and I'm drawing over here to connect this bit because I feel like it's a bit off, and we need to do it in this way. I feel like this needs to be more orangey, the highlights. I hope that Tuscan Earth will do the trick. Mixed in with warm grey. It's, yeah, let's see, not bad. Okay. And then finally, maybe bring in a little bit of golden green, the brighter parts of the highlights. Have a greenish undertone. This might. Yes, this is it. This is what we were lacking before. Okay. And this is what we should have done from the beginning. I was completely off with my warm grey, actually. Well, it was good for this part, but we do need a fair bit amount of tint, either green or orange in the rest of it, and so we need to correct this now. Right? Mix it in with a brown ochre, darken this bit. Yes. Now we're finished with the far off background. I believe we won't touch the middle bit because upon reflection, when I will go over the sky and brighten this up, it will automatically bring down this bit as well. It will be brighter because I will glaze it, so I don't need to go into there any more than this at this point. I hope you enjoyed watching me work in real time and that it was both entertaining and insightful. As you can see, we are still not quite done with the painting, so if you want to see how everything will turn out, please make sure to tune in for the next session. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I hope to see you in my next video very soon. And until then, I wish you a very pleasant morning, afternoon or evening, wherever you are. Cheers, guys!